Hello, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, one of the cool things about being the president of Washington Gun Law is I get to talk to lawful and responsible gun owners all day. I get to interact and hear a lot of really, really intelligent questions. Some of the best questions we get are from some of the comment sections down below. So today I thought what we do is we take a little detour, do something a little different. Rather than pick a singular topic and get into great depth about it, let's spend some time today answering some of our subscribers' questions. Okay, before we get rolling, you guys know the drill. If you like this video, go ahead and click the like button down below. If you want to stay up to date on issues related to your Second Amendment rights, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. Click the little bell logo if you want to be notified when we post new videos. And most importantly, let's keep the comments and discussions coming. That's how we're going to get our videos out to more lawful and responsible gun owners like yourself. And I want to start with a big, huge thank you to all of our viewers out there and subscribers. We just recently passed our 2,000th subscriber, which is pretty awesome since we've only been doing this for about 6 months. So thank you to everyone. Please continue to spread the good word here about Washington Gun Law to all your lawful and responsible gun owning friends. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I went through all of our comments on various videos that we posted, and I picked today 5 questions that I thought were really good questions. And so what we're going to do is we're going to identify the user, we're going to identify the question, and I'm going to give you guys some answers here. Okay, the first question came in response to a video we did about can private businesses prohibit firearms on their property, and it comes from our subscriber Sci-Fi Fan Man, and his question reads as follows: can the proprietor require search before entry? I know that would be detrimental to the business, but I could see it going that route soon at increasingly more places of business. What currently happens if you violate the statute, such as in defense of bodily harm where the police found it was justifiable? Will they just take the permit away, or do you have to see a judge over that one? Okay, it is a very loaded question, and I will take it sequentially. Okay, the first part is can a private business require non-intrusive pat-down searches in order to enter their property and conduct business? Theoretically, there is nothing in the law that would prohibit them from doing that. That is certainly their right to conduct their business. Now, certainly we have a right as consumers to choose who to engage our business relationships with, but I certainly don't think that there's anything unlawful about that. And certainly in many venues, sports venues, concert venues, and other places, we are subject to relatively non-intrusive searches in order to enter into that venue. Now, the second part of your question is, what happens if you're in a property such as, let's say, Safeway, who we know does have a firearms ban, and you are accosted by somebody there, you have to use lethal force, you discharge your firearm, which you are otherwise lawfully possessing, but you're just on the property of Safeway. What kind of trouble are you in? Well, assuming that you're not in any trouble for the shooting itself, assuming that that is completely lawfully justifiable, the only issue you have is you violated a Safeway company policy. So are you looking at going to jail or being charged with a crime? No, you're not. Any of the restricted places that we have, such as under 9.41.280, 9.41.285, 9.41.300, the areas that restrict firearms to places that we call gun-free zones, you're not in violation of a gun-free zone. You're in violation of a private corporate policy. So what's going to happen is you're likely going to be trespassed from the property. You're going to be asked to leave. You may be served with a trespass order saying you're not welcome back here. For some chain operations, a trespass order at one Safeway could mean a trespass from all Safeways. But are you going to be going to jail for carrying a firearm onto Safeway or any of the other companies? And we've done a video on that, and we'll post a link to it down below. No, you're not going to be going to jail for that. So good question. Okay, our next question comes from Charles Hetrick. He asks, are you able to endorse organizations or politicians in Washington that would be most successful in primary elections, general elections, or in lobbying efforts to help lessen or end the curtailing of firearm rights in this state? Charles, that is a great question, because I think many of us in the Second Amendment community have felt as though our Second Amendment rights have been under siege for the last several years. But as you're probably aware, the purpose of Washington gun law is to teach the lawful and responsible gun owner what the law is so that we can all operate within the confines of it. I am not here necessarily to endorse the abolition of laws. I'm not necessarily here to endorse the creation of new laws. I am certainly and vehemently going to defend our Second Amendment rights and defend against any infringement upon there. I think that Having the right, the Second Amendment right to possess a firearm, is a right that does come with great level of responsibility, as we talk about here all the time at Washington Gun Law, and I liken it much to the right to vote. Yes, it is a God-given right. We have the right to vote. But it is a right that comes with a great deal of responsibility, and part of that responsibility is you need to educate yourself about the issues and about the candidates. Now, there are several organizations that I think very highly of that I think can help you and anyone in this situation if you want to get more educated about who really is out there looking for your Second Amendment rights. Now, the most obvious one is the NRA, National Rifle Association. It's the largest nonprofit group of that in this area. There's been some criticisms about the NRA. I could probably go on and on about it, some very good things, some not so good things, but I do encourage people to join the NRA. Now, there's some other organizations I also want you to be aware of. They're not as well known, but I think they're doing some fantastic work. The National Association for Gun Rights is another organization. By the way, all of these organizations are linked up on the homepage to WashingtonGunLaw.com. Gun Owners of America is another really, really fine organization. And an organization that I've really lately gotten into, and I really like what they're doing, is the Firearms Policy Coalition. And they have a channel here on YouTube called The Armed Scholar. And I got to tell you, they do fantastic work. And if you really want to geek out about some Supreme Court cases and legal issues and things like that, the guys over at Armed Scholar, Firearms Policy Coalition, they're doing really good work right now. And then there's a local group on Facebook I want you all to be aware of. I want to give a shout out to them. They're easy to remember. We're Washington Gun Law. They're Washington Gun Rights. And they are definitely spearheading any type of political efforts to ensure that your Second Amendment rights are protected in Washington State. So I'll put the links to all those organizations down below. I encourage you to get involved. Be the educated voter and arm yourself today with knowledge. Great question. Okay, the next question comes from Damien Quichocho, and if I mispronounce that last name, Damien, I'm sorry, that's on me. His question is, what if I have a 14.5-inch barrel and a 2-inch muzzle device pinned and welded? Would I still have to fill out an SBR form, or is that still a legal rifle and not an SBR? Well, the good news for you, Damien, is I can give you a very specific answer on that because, fortunately for you, RCW 9.41.010, the definitional section of our firearms code, specifically subsection 2, specifically defines how we measure barrel length as follows. Barrel length means the distance from the bolt face of a closed action down the length of the axis of the bore to the crown of the muzzle, or in the case of a barrel with attachments to the end of any device permanently attached to the end of the muzzle. So, Damien, in your situation, you have a 14.5-inch barrel. That is too short. We need at least a 16-inch barrel. However, you have at least a 2-inch muzzle device, which is welded or pinned to the end of it. Basically, it has become a permanent fixture on that barrel. You no longer have a 14.5-inch barrel. Under the law, you now have a 16.5-inch barrel. That does qualify as a regular rifle. It is not an SBR at that point. You can avoid ATF Form 1 or ATF Form 4. You can't avoid the $200 tax stamp. It has to be pinned or welded to it. If it is detachable, like most of them are, and that happens to give you the length that goes beyond 16 inches, that is an SBR. That's an excellent question. Okay, the next question comes from Andrew Pruitt, and his question is, how do I transport a firearm without a concealed pistol license? Okay, it's not as complicated as a lot of people think. First of all, whether you have a concealed pistol license or you don't, when it comes to shotguns and rifles, we don't ever get to transport those loaded, period. We don't, okay? Do they have to be secured in a lockbox, tucked away in the trunk that's chained up? No, it's not like that at all. It has to be present in the car. Do they have to be in cases? No. Does the ammunition have to be stored in a separate component of the car than that? No. Could you actually keep loaded magazines right next to a semi-automatic rifle on the back seat? Yes, you could. Is it the responsible thing to do? I don't know about that. Is it unlawful? No, it's not unlawful at all. So when it comes to transporting rifles and shotguns, they're always unloaded. And I believe the lawful and responsible way is to secure them in a case and put them in a safe part of the vehicle. When it comes to handguns, you can only carry a handgun concealed in the car if you have a valid and recognized concealed pistol license under RCW 9.41.050. If you do not, the handgun must be unloaded at all times while the car is underway. Does it need to be locked in the trunk, locked in the glove box with the magazine somewhere else? No, it does not. It could be laying right on the passenger seat if you so desired, with the magazine sitting right next to it. Once again, is that the responsible way of carrying the firearm? I'll defer to your judgment, but there is no actual prescribed method. Now, if you're taking a firearm to a range to go shooting, yeah, it should probably go in a carry case. You're going to have to carry it into the range anyways. Whether you put it on the back seat, front seat, or in the trunk, again, that is up to you. The only time we get to transport a firearm loaded in our car is a handgun, so long as we validly possess a concealed pistol license and we carry it consistent with the legal requirements of that law, RCW 9.41.050. Good question. Okay, our fifth and final question comes from BW Vids. Now, I got to give a shout out to BW Vids because he is one of our very first subscribers. He watches all of our videos. He always comments. He's actually given me some ideas for some videos, so huge shout out to BW Vids. His question is, what is brandishing a firearm, especially concerning open carry? Does Washington have a law against that? Sounds ambiguous from this. And this was in response to a video that we did, put the link down below there, for a video about open carry. Okay, BW Vids, good question. So first of all, let's talk about the term brandishing. Brandishing is a legal terminology that lawyers use. It makes us sound a lot smarter than we really are. But if you take a look anywhere in RCW 9.41, you're not going to find the term brandishing. We don't use that term of art here in Washington State. What we use is displaying a weapon. And we'll put the video that we did down before on when am I lawfully allowed to display my weapon. You have to remember that displaying a weapon is not the use of lethal force. Now, we also got to remember that under RCW 9.41.270, you cannot carry a weapon, display a firearm in a manner which is intended to threaten or intimidate another person. There is, of course, an exception to that in RCW 9.41.270, which is, however, you can threaten or intimidate a person with a weapon if it's an instance of lawful self-defense, as long as, of course, the force that you're using is reasonable and proportional. What BW Vids is getting at is some people in this state, and candidly some people throughout the country, are threatened or intimidated by the mere presence of a firearm. The act of open carrying a firearm may alarm some people, but your intent is to do nothing but open carry the firearm, and therefore that would not be an unlawful display of a firearm or what we call brandishing. Okay? Now, if we did open carry a firearm with a manner which was meant to threaten or intimidate, or if we open carried perhaps in a manner that was inconsistent with the law found in RCW 9.41.300, especially as it relates to the newly created open demonstration restrictions, yes, I think we are looking at potentially a violation of RCW 9.41.270. And the thing we have to remember is we do not want to be charged with this crime, because if we're convicted, we forfeit our CPL for at least 1 year. Okay, listen, those were some great questions. We're going to do this again in the future, and we're also thinking about doing a live chat. So if you guys are interested in joining us for a live chat, let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Listen, you may have more questions about anything we talked about today or anything related to your Second Amendment rights, and if you do, don't ever hesitate to contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Listen, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.